Second, I dare the Conservatives to laugh again. I see they're not. I don't tolerate bullies. And what I'm seeing a lot of is this bullying tactic that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, they send their mobs after people they don't agree with. This is serious. I love our country. I love our democracy. I would do anything to protect it.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Sometimes we dive into fascinating new discoveries, and sometimes we explore heartwarming stories, but sometimes we wade into the swamp of politics.
Oh, yeah.
And today's definitely the swamp variety.
Sounds about right.
We're going deep into the public's perception of Jagmeet Singh's leadership.
Okay.
And let me tell you the sources you've shared, video commentaries, news clips, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
They paint a pretty bleak picture.
Yeah, what's striking is how these criticisms seem to be coming from all sides,
Right.
Not just the usual political opponents.
Yeah.
There's this sense that even some of Singh's traditional supporters are starting to lose faith a little bit.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Okay.
So first we've got this whole controversy surrounding Singh's pension.
Yeah.
It's being alleged that he's clinging to power until 2025 just to secure this hefty $2 million pension for himself.
Yes, and this plays right into the narrative that's being pushed by Pierre Poilievre, right? Who's accusing Singh of basically putting his own financial interests ahead of the needs of Canadians.
Ahead of the needs of Canadians, exactly.
The Trudeau's puppet label is particularly damaging, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it really suggests that, Singh is propping up this failing government just for his own personal gain.
Yeah. And Poilievre is not letting up.
No, he's not.
He's even challenged Singh to call a carbon tax election just to prove that he's actually putting the country first.
Right.
So far, Singh has been deflecting.
Which only makes him look more suspicious.
Totally.
Right. It raises questions about his priorities, especially now.
Well,
the timing is bad, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of Canadians are struggling with the rising cost of living, and I think voters might be wondering, is Singh really in touch with their concerns?
Right.
Or is he more interested in his own financial future?
Yeah. Okay, speaking of not being in touch,
Okay.
let's talk about the Maserati Marxist.
Oh, yeah.
There's this growing perception that Singh's lifestyle just doesn't match his rhetoric
Totally.
about fighting for the working class.
Yeah, the imagery that's being circulated is very potent, right?
Oh, yeah.
We see Singh sporting luxury brands like Rolex,
Yeah.
driving these expensive cars like BMWs.
Right.
There's even an anecdote of him arriving at Parliament in a Maserati.
Oh, wow.
So the nickname Maserati Marxist
Yeah.
really perfectly encapsulates the perceived hypocrisy.
It's a pretty catchy dig, and it definitely seems to be sticking.
It does.
It makes you wonder if Singh understands the struggles of everyday Canadians when he's flashing such extravagant wealth.
Yeah, this disconnect between his words and his actions is fueling public anger.
Yeah.
We're seeing protests outside Singh's office
Wow.
with people calling him a sellout, a puppet.
Really?
Clearly, this isn't just about policy disagreements anymore.
No.
It's about a fundamental lack of trust in his leadership.
Yeah, it feels like he's completely abandoned these bread and butter issues that people care about,
Right.
affordable housing, the healthcare crisis.
Yeah.
And instead, he's focusing on this strange fixation on Indian interference.
Yeah, it's
That's an interesting choice.
Yes, and this focus on foreign policy,
Uh-huh.
particularly when it seems so tied to his personal history with India, right?
Right.
Is being interpreted by some as a way to distract from his failures on the domestic front.
Okay.
Canadians are worried about putting food on the table and keeping a roof over their heads.
Of course.
And Singh is off on this seemingly personal crusade.
It's interesting, though, because you'd think that being banned from India since 2013
Right.
for his views on Sikh separatism
Uh-huh.
would make him a bit more hesitant to get involved in this whole issue.
You would think so, but
Yeah.
perhaps this just highlights how deeply entrenched this issue is for him personally.
Okay.
It seems to be clouding his judgment and preventing him from focusing on the priorities of everyday Canadians.
And meanwhile, Pierre Poilievre is capitalizing on all of this.
Oh, absolutely. He's positioning himself as the champion of the working class, right?
Right.
The guy who actually understands the struggles of everyday people. Poilievre is all about the economy affordability, making life easier for Canadians.
Right.
He's offering concrete solutions to problems that people are facing right now.
Yeah.
While Singh seems lost in this web of foreign intrigue
Right.
and personal vendettas.
And then there was that parliamentary session where Singh tried to criticize Poilievre.
Oh, yeah.
and it totally backfired.
That exchange was a disaster for Singh.
Oh,
Poilievre just effortlessly turned the tables on him
Yeah.
and exposed all these inconsistencies in his stance on foreign interference. It really reinforced this impression that Singh is all talk and no action.
Yeah, speaking of inconsistencies, remember when Poilievre refused to sign that top-secret security clearance?
Oh, yeah.
He argued that it would prevent him from, speaking freely and holding the government accountable.
That was a brilliant move. It really resonated with people who are concerned about transparency and accountability in government.
For sure.
Even former NDP leader Tom Mulcair praised Poilievre for taking that stand.
Wow.
And it just further highlights how out of touch Singh is with the concerns of everyday Canadians.
And let's not forget about Singh's disastrous press conferences.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that one where he tried to go after Poilievre, but then completely dodged questions about the threats to his safety?
Oh, that was a train wreck.
It was.
He just came across as so evasive and unprepared,
Yeah.
lacking any real substance.
It was like he was trying to attack Poilievre while simultaneously, hiding from his own shadow.
Yeah.
Not exactly a display of strong leadership.
It really makes you wonder if Singh is even capable of leading the NDP out of this mess.
Let's delve deeper into that question when we come back.
Okay.
What does the future hold for Jagmeet Singh and the NDP? Buckle up, because this deep dive is about to get even murkier.
It's clear that Singh is facing an uphill battle here. He's lost the trust of a lot of Canadians, and his political rivals are taking full advantage of all his missteps.
And it's not just his opponents either, right? Even within his own party.
Yeah.
There are whispers of discontent.
I've heard that too.
Some NDP members are starting to question his leadership
Yeah.
and whether he's the right person to take them into the next election.
Yeah, the NDP has always prided itself on being the party of the people,
Right.
a voice for the working class,
Yeah.
and those who feel marginalized. But under Singh's leadership, that image has become tarnished.
It feels like he's more interested in hobnobbing with the elites and pursuing personal vendettas than actually fighting for the issues that matter to everyday Canadians.
His actions often contradict his words.
Yeah.
And that creates a sense of distrust among voters. I mean, how can you claim to be a champion of the working class when you're driving around in a Maserati?
Exactly. Just reeks of hypocrisy. And let's not forget about this whole mute button controversy in Parliament.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like every time Singh tries to speak up, he gets silenced.
Literally. Literally.
The House Speaker, Greg Fergus, has been using the mute button to cut off opposition members during debates.
Yeah.
And Poilievre has been very vocal in his criticism of this practice. He sees it as a blatant attack on free speech.
Right.
And a sign that the government is becoming increasingly authoritarian.
And it's not just Poilievre who's upset about it. Many Canadians are concerned about the erosion of democratic norms and the suppression of dissenting voices.
Poilievre is cleverly tapping into this anxiety, right? He's painting himself as the defender of free speech, the one who will stand up to the establishment and fight for the rights of ordinary Canadians.
Meanwhile, Singh seems content to just sit back and let the government walk all over him.
Yeah, where's the fire?
Yeah.
Where's the passion?
It's like he's completely lost his fighting spirit. This lack of passion and conviction is a major problem for Singh.
I think so, too.
Voters are looking for a leader who inspires them, who makes them feel like their voices are being heard.
Right.
But instead, they see Singh making gaffe after gaffe, stumbling from one controversy to the next.
It's hard to imagine how he can possibly recover from this.
He needs a major course correction.
Yeah.
He needs to start listening to the concerns of Canadians and demonstrate that he understands their struggles.
Right.
He needs to show some humility. Acknowledge his mistakes, and articulate a clear vision for the future.
But does he have the self-awareness to do that?
Yeah, that's the question.
Does he even realize how badly he's messed up?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
If Singh doesn't change course soon, the NDP is in serious danger of becoming completely irrelevant.
It's a shame, really.
It is.
The NDP used to be a powerful force for social justice and economic equality in Canada. But under Singh's leadership, it's become a shadow of its former self.
And this decline is not only bad for the NDP, it's bad for Canadian democracy as a whole. A healthy democracy needs a strong and vibrant opposition to challenge the government and offer alternative perspectives.
Without a viable alternative, the government can become complacent and unaccountable.
Exactly.
And that's never a good thing.
So what does the future hold for Jagmeet Singh and the NDP?
Yeah.
Will he be able to turn things around and regain the trust of Canadians?
Right.
Or is this the beginning of the end for his political career?
Only time will tell.
I guess so.
But one thing is certain. The stakes are high and the pressure is on. So it's pretty clear from all of this that Jagmeet Singh's leadership is in serious trouble.
Yeah.
He's facing a mountain of criticism. And honestly, it's hard to see how he can dig himself out of this hole.
It's like he's stuck in quicksand, you know?
Yep.
The more he struggles, the deeper he sinks.
He's lost the trust of voters. He's alienated members of his own party, and his political rivals are running circles around him.
And the saddest part is that the NDP, a party with such a rich history of fighting for social justice and economic equality,
Right.
it's been dragged down with him.
Yeah, it's almost like he's single-handedly dismantling the legacy of the NDP.
And what's really frustrating is that these issues he's stumbling over are the very issues that the NDP should be leading the charge on. Affordable housing, the cost of living crisis, healthcare.
Yeah.
These are things that matter deeply to Canadians.
Right.
And yet Singh seems completely incapable of articulating a clear and compelling vision on any of them.
He just comes across as so out of touch, driving around in a Maserati while people are struggling to put food on the table.
I know.
It's a terrible look.
It really makes you wonder if he's even trying anymore.
Yeah.
Is he so focused on clinging to power and securing that fat pension that he's forgotten what it means to represent the interests of ordinary Canadians?
Well, based on what we've seen in these sources, it's hard to argue otherwise.
It's true.
The evidence is pretty damning.
It's a shame because Canada needs a strong and effective opposition party.
We do.
We need a party that's willing to hold the government accountable.
Yes.
And fight for the needs of everyday people.
But right now, the NDP, under Singh's leadership, is failing to do that.
They're more focused on infighting and personal vendettas than on actually making a difference in the lives of Canadians.
So where do we go from here? Can Jagmeet Singh turn things around?
I don't know.
Or is it time for the NDP to find a new leader? That's the big question.
It is a big question, and it's a question that NDP members need to start asking themselves seriously.
Yeah.
The future of their party, and perhaps even the future of Canadian democracy, depends on it.
Because if the NDP continues down this path, they risk becoming completely irrelevant.
Right. And that would be a loss for all Canadians.
Well, that's a wrap on our deep dive into the troubled waters of Jagmeet Singh's leadership. Thanks for joining us as we waded through this political swamp.
Yeah, it was,
We hope you found it insightful, if not a little bit depressing.
always a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.